down the days too to nothing. Absolutely being in the same place. I'm actually cutting down the days till that picture I just showed you is finished. That's what I'm cutting down the days toward.
Yes, Joe's doing a big renovation on his home. So yeah.
Yeah. We have 2 rooms that we can live in our house. And don't get me wrong, that still is a big time first world problem. There was a time when I had 2 rooms, so
Yes.
So big time
There was
first
probably
world
a time
problem.
when you had 1 room even.
Yeah. No, my brother had 1 room. 2 rooms have been the bottom of it for me.
All right. Well, I live, and of course, dorm rooms,
Yeah.
1 room. Yeah.
I remember those Mike Birbiglia talking about studios in Manhattan, talking about how it was spacious. There was room for there was room for my glass of water and a pencil.
So. Yeah, that's kind of how we're feeling here in our apartment in New York City these days. How many months into the pandemic? I mean, it's literally like, what month is it? And I still remember our governor Cuomo would like sign off when he first did those speeches, and he'd be like, "Public service announcement, it is Tuesday." Because it was such a blur. And now I know that we're recording this on Thursday. I do know that, but that's because my son, drumroll, is in in-person school today, day 12 since March. So we're climbing up into the double digits here. Yes, we are. And we have 5 more days in school till winter vacation. So we're excited for that, which is when we go to Florida. We're so excited.
I'm on Twitter. Very important. I would love to talk, Bobby, but I'm on Twitter.
Wait, I'm going to go. Okay, I'm going to go on Twitter also, and I'm going to retweet our.
Good morning, peeps. We have both 2 peeps here today. Yesterday, I dressed up when Farnoosh was here, so no offense, Bobby. I mean, we've known each other a long time, so I feel kind of casual around Bobby. So, but today.
Look,
today I have
cheers,
and I've got Texas Stacker T-shirts.
Very cool. Was that custom made?
Yeah, that's part of the Stacky Benjamin's line of T-shirts. Yes,
Ooh,
that Brad. You met Brad. Well, you didn't meet Brad. You talked to Brad once. Brad actually put the with friends on the bottom of our logo. This same guy.
Yes.
So good man, Brad. Yeah, he wants to make some new shirts for 2021, which could be funny.
Yes, I feel like there's going to be a wave of clever slogans and mottos and memes when we are free, like some kind of a freedom theme. Because I feel, well, I mean, we're the first. I think today is the day that the FDA is hopefully going to approve the vaccine in the U.S. I believe today is the day.
Cheryl was notified. Cheryl was notified yesterday because she works in healthcare, and she has been around lots of COVID people. She hasn't had it. I have, but she has been notified that she's probably getting it next week.
Oh, okay. That's exciting.
Yeah,
that's good. I'm sorry. I was distracted because we got a note from Peter, so I was multitasking.
Peter's talking about the news that Dave Ramsey paid off a bunch of debt for his followers. You remember how much, Peter? Somebody posted this in the Facebook group.
That's awesome.
Yes, and I don't remember how, but of course we had to take down some stuff because people got snarky about it because of who did it, because of the fact that it was Dave Ramsey. Talk about somebody who's a lightning. Just some people are lightning rods, and whenever Dave Ramsey comes up in these financial groups, you get the people that love them and people that hate them, and they're, believe it or not, I don't know if you know this, Bobby, but there is a middle ground. There is this is really cool.
In the middle ground. In general, with any person that is in the finance space, I think that if the message works for you, that's great, and if it doesn't work for you, then you'll find something else. But I think someone writing checks to help people is always a nice thing.
To your point, a mentor I had toward the beginning of my career said, you will always attract people who are kind of like you, and you'll repel people who aren't. So, and just remember that. So
exactly.
Dave does bring all the feelings. I totally agree, Peter. All right. We are
Wait,
getting
hang
ready to
on.
make two
Yeah,
podcasts. It's early
my
morning.
wireless. Oh, I'm gonna go. Keep talking. I'm gonna put my
Deal.
wireless
It's early
on.
morning here, and we are we're having some fun. So if it seems kind of like we're hanging out, I've been up for almost an hour and a half, and I look like I woke up 4 minutes ago, which is a good time. Anyway, hope everybody's doing great. So we're going to make 2 episodes of Money with Friends. If you're brand new here, please comment on these as we go, and you can be a part of the show too. These will go live on Saturday and on Monday. So those will be the days that you'll be able to listen to these episodes. Oh, I forgot to tell you this, Bobby. I don't know if you can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
No, she's
my
not. She can hear me.
Now I can hear you. I can hear you now.
I forgot to tell you this. We actually had a first today, or yesterday, which was really cool. We were welcoming new people. Hey, Sarah Lynn and Sarah are here. We have the Sarahs here. But we had a first in the Stacking Benjamins Facebook group. Gertrude says hello once a week to all the new friends that we have that are hanging out with us in the basement, and asked people how they found us. And somebody said that they first heard of Stacking Benjamins from another podcast called Money with Friends.
Oh, that's so awesome.
I know, isn't that cool? Yeah, that was absolutely cool. It's like, oh, cool, neat. So, all right, let me get the captions ready here and get the this is great. You guys get to see all the cool behind the scenes stuff, like us staring at computer screens and putting our audio
and me
on.
Well, I was waiting. I forgot to charge it last night. You guys know that feeling when you wake up and you're like, oh, I didn't charge my wireless headphones, and then I didn't have them, and and I can use, I had these plugged in, so I can use those, but I like these. I feel more free with my wireless ones. You get used to them, So they were still charging when we first came on.
I like the IFB thing.
Yes, but that's a different setup.
Yeah. It feels like we have a delay. Do we have a delay between the two of us? Oh, maybe. My audio input is not great. Okay, there we go. Now I should sound better.
Everything looks correct on my end. I'm looking at, we have just so you guys know, I have a little screen that says where all the different things are going.
Hold on a second before you get started, guys.
Some is just there.
I'm going to go away for a second.
Okay, while Joe goes, here's what I'm looking for from you guys. I want to know what my husband and I should listen to while we drive down to Florida, in not this weekend, but next. So I have a week and a half. Sarah says we sound better. So we've listened to Serial. We liked that. So what is there that we could listen to that's kind of like Serial, but we already listened to Serial? Maybe I don't know, something like that would kind of keep us awake while driving to Florida. I think we're going to split the 16 hours into 2 days. I'm not sure. I'm a little nervous about stopping at a hotel. So I'm putting that out there for you guys. Feel free to chime in at any time or DM me on Instagram at BobbyRebel1 and let me know your suggestions for the drive, or at Money Friends Pod, either handle on Instagram. And your suggestions are welcome.
Monday, because that Bola and I show was we recorded it a couple weeks ago. What did we talk about?
Oh, I forget. I left that blank.
Yeah, I don't even remember what Bola and I talked about. Hold on a second. I know what Farnoosh
It's all
and I
a blur.
talked about.
It's a blur.
Tesla entering the S&P 500.
Oh, yes. Elon Musk is moving to Texas.
Yeah, it's funny. You see, boy, and I read a great thing about Tim Ferriss yesterday, which was very cool. He moved to Texas a couple of years ago, as well. You're seeing a lot of these tech people moving to Austin
but Tim Ferriss is the guy that talks about optimization. And I love it when people get a little bit older. And I think, Bobby, you'll appreciate this. Like when I was younger, I was really into optimizing everything. And Tim Ferriss came out with a thing last week going, yeah, I'm not really as into that because a lot of this doesn't matter like I thought it did. Like, I feel like you get a little maturity and you
Like,
go,
what was an example?
Well, he's a guy that optimized, his books, the 4 hour.
Listen to him. I love him. Yeah. Yeah.
The 4 hour week, the 4 hour diet, the 4 hour whatever. Like, how do I do more in less time? And somebody asked him, I don't remember the exact example, but he said, yeah, I asked myself why. Like, why do I want to optimize? Half the fun is not optimizing it, like getting lost in it and having fun in it. And it was really cool. I'm like, cause I don't know. I feel like I've been there for a little while with pieces of my life. There's pieces that I want to optimize, but other pieces I'm like, no, I don't want to become pro at this. Like, I just want to go on a hike or whatever.
Agreed.
All right. We ready to go?
Yes.
All right.
All right. Where are we? All right. Are you rolling?
Some really bad juju internet here.
Okay. Are you sure that's, let me check my internet, but all right, hold on. Let me switch internet channels. Okay.
All right. Now I think you're coming back.
Okay. Is this a better connection?
It's weird. On my end, you're fuzzy. So I don't know about for.
Okay. Let me just go to my camera app and I'll do autofocus off and on. That might help. Did that help? Hey, Greg. Am I fuzzy, everybody out there? I don't know. Let me look at the feed if I can see it.
Yeah, maybe it's just mine.
I think it looks okay I'm on Twitter watching us.
Yeah, I'm watching. It's funny. You weren't fuzzy. And now I'm looking at, I'm
fuzzy.
I'm looking on YouTube from a few seconds ago and you're kind of fuzzy.
Okay. So Greg says, okay, let me look at my camera. I'm going to do autofocus. Is that better?
Yes. Very much better.
Okay.
Yes.
And I should not move around too much. Okay, Sarah, I got it. Stay still. All right. Appreciate the coaching. Team, these are the Money with Friends. We got the friends today.
All right. Recording. This is for Saturday, December 12th.
It is the weekend show here on Money with Friends, where we look back at the highlights of the week that was, get you ready for the week to come. Plus, we take audience questions about, well, anything you guys want to ask us. It is Saturday, December 12th. Let's talk money with our friends. Welcome to the Money with Friends podcast. I am certified financial planner, Bobby Rebell, host of the Financial Grown Up podcast, coming to you from my very grown up kitchen in New York City.
And coming to you live from Texarkana, Texas, where we make the Stacky Benjamin show in my mom's half-finished basement. I'm Joe Saul-Sehy.
Here on Money with Friends, we share the latest headlines and why they matter, specific ideas and advice for your financial life on our weekdays. But on the weekends, we take a look back at what really stood out to us in the week that was, and we get you ready for the week ahead. And of course, your listener questions.
Today's show is brought to you by Tiller Money. Keep your financial life on course. Easily track your money over time. Always know what's safe to spend. And confidently plan for the future with spreadsheets automated by Tiller Money. You'll get a free 30-day trial when you check it out at tillerhq.com/MWF. tillerhq.com/MWF. I talked to Peter Poulsen. I was telling Farnoosh, I talked to Peter Poulsen, the CEO of Tiller recently, and they're doing some cool work on open baking that maybe we can talk about a little bit later, which is this whole new concept. When he first started telling me, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then he explained what's actually going on. And it's not just Tiller, it's finance in general is headed this way. And they're kind of on the tip of the sword. And it's a way to keep your data safe. So really neat stuff. But what is safe here is we're safe from the weekdays, Bobby. It's the weekend. Happy Saturday, everybody. You have a good week this week?
I actually did. I feel like the holidays are coming in a good way. People are getting a little bit calmer. And there is a feeling of optimism because we are getting closer to having this vaccine. They started giving it out in the UK, and hopefully people here will start getting it, and we will see the light at the end of the tunnel.
I have a feeling of optimism because 2020 is nearly done.
Yes.
That is totally behind. This week also is finished, but we're not done talking about it. We're going to do the week in review right now. Let's see which one of our friends is going to help us kick off this discussion. All right. Let's start on Monday. Monday this last week, we played an episode that Bola Succumbi and I recorded maybe a week and a half ago, Bobby, about Tesla joining the S&P 500. And I think my favorite takeaway, Bola and I talk about this. Of course, she has a brand new book about investing 101, and for people brand new to investing. But the idea that when you buy an index like the S&P 500, you not only get this instant diversification, but to some degree, it's self-cleaning. Tesla comes in because they're a hot company now. And the other piece that we talked about a little bit is that another company goes bye-bye that isn't doing as well. So instead of having to go in and weed your portfolio from time to time and choose what's winning and what's not, if you buy the S&P 500 or another index, as long as it meets your goals, it can largely take care of itself.
Yeah, that's one perspective. One thing that I always remind people is that the S&P is a weighted fund. So there sometimes it can have a big emphasis on the stocks that are bigger stocks within there. So it is not an even distribution fund. And people should just be aware of that sometimes the bigger stocks have a bigger impact on the returns, which has been good recently, but could also be bad.
Are you trying to say that if you buy the S&P 500, you might want to go buy more Apple products? Is that what you're trying to say?
I am saying just know what you're buying. Know that it is a weighted fund and that you will probably be, weighted in the bigger stocks in that index. And so it's not as equally diversified as some people perceive it to be.
Yeah, as you may think it is. On Tuesday, you and Liz Segrin from Fast Company took over.
Yeah. So Liz and I think this was my favorite show in so long because we talked about this contest that American Standard is having, and they make toilets. And so they're giving out, and by the way, I entered the contest, so we'll see if I win. They're giving away toilet paper that has phrases that we want to flush down the toilet from 2020. So, for example, you're on mute, obviously COVID-19, nasal swabs, murder hornets, things like that. And then we had the audience chimed in on what they wanted to flush away. Even my husband chimed in. I don't know. What words do you want to flush away, Joe?
Well, it's funny because I was quoting you and Liz the other day because I was on, you know why? Because I was on mute on a Zoom call. I was trying to talk and I was on mute, and somebody said, "Joe, you're on mute." And I'm like, Bobby and Liz were talking about this on Tuesday, and won't we all be happy when that's over, when we don't say that anymore?
Yeah. I mean, birthday caravans, pods, just all the nasty shit, as my husband put it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Cheryl just went to a drive-by baby shower. You came by, you kind of tossed the gift out the window at them and just kept going.
I know. I guess if that works for those people, I mean, we were going to have a big bar mitzvah for my son, and we still will one day. For us, we're not going to do a Zoom bar mitzvah, but I also think that is something really special that does work for some people. And especially, when there's a child involved or a new mom, you do want to do something. So I'm happy that we've found a way to make this work.
I hate those.
And I also think that we're going to move past it, and it won't be that the concept of it won't be such a great memory, but the fact that it did happen, this is sort of where we are.
Those Zoom chats where everybody grabs a glass of wine and you sit and chat on Zoom for an hour, I hate them. I can't stand them.
Yeah. They were really good for the first 2 to 3 weeks Because it was like, ha, 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 ha. I mean, it's kind of like when you go back to the early shows when we're like, oh, you might need a go bag to quarantine for 3 or 4 days. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, we were pretty naive then. Now we're just over it. We want everyone to get out of this healthy. First and foremost, everyone just please try not to get sick and get these vaccines. They're very promising. That's what people are, I'm not a doctor, but I'm saying, as a society, we want to protect people, and let's just move on and flush those things away. Sarah.
We do this show live, and we're hanging out with some of our friends. If you want to hang out with us, go check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/money with friends. By the way, YouTube channel's grown a lot in the past 2 weeks. So thanks everybody who's come to hang out with us. And Peter hanging out with us says, our grandkids will give us weird looks. We tell them stories about COVID-19 life.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yes. Remember that year?
Yeah. And it's going to be weird for how people perceive it, because in other times, I mean, this is real danger. Okay. There are so many lost lives happening, but in terms of what as if you're not in the medical field, as your wife is, our individual responsibility is to a large degree to like sit home. And that's hard to explain to future generations that's a hardship. It's a hardship when you're missing work, by the way, and you can't bring income. But in terms of the reality for a lot of people that are very fortunate, it's staying home and watching Netflix. I mean, that's kind of like, okay. And you didn't, and dad, your grandpa, you didn't have to go to school. You got to just like chill in your bed in your sweats and like talk to your friends on the computer, and your teacher was on Zoom. Like, that doesn't sound so bad. That sounds kind of awesome. So it's going to be weird how it's perceived, because we're such babies at a certain level, like what we're complaining about.
Yeah.
That minus the financial impact, of course, that's a whole different thing. But in terms of the day-to-day, we're not being asked to pick up weapons and go to a different country and do, and it's a whole different thing. And thank God for that.
On Wednesday, you and Liz pivoted to another story.
Yes, we talked about, we started talking about Barnes & Noble, which has new leadership and how they're adjusting. And we shared a little bit, because Liz is an author and so am I, about how the book business works really behind the scenes. There's a lot of different relationships between publishers and bookstores that are really being disrupted right now. And the benefit really is to the consumer, because there'll be a lot more autonomy in the individual stores, even for a chain like Barnes & Noble. It used to be, if you manage the Barnes & Noble in a certain town, you had to follow exactly what headquarters said, even down to the displays of which books you sort of would have customers see when they came into the store. Now they're giving more freedom to those local store managers to choose what they think will sell best in those stores. And I think that's going to be really great for consumers and also good for authors. But then Liz really added a lot of value, and I hope people will go back and listen to this episode talking about the retail industry overall and how that is being disrupted, and the different things that could be coming to retailers, in part because of the natural evolution of the business that was already happening, and in part because of COVID-19.
I love this discussion. I mean, and it's one of my most fascinating case studies lately, listening to you guys talk about this and then digging in more afterwards. And the CEO of Barnes & Noble has done this type of stuff at other companies, and Barnes & Noble really needs this at a time when you remember this horrible, I'm getting into old guy story, and Bobby's way too young to remember this, but going to the mall. Well, you and I have talked about going to the mall when we were kids. Mall. Yeah, you go to the mall, but remember how the mall went from stores in different cities, and you could only find these regional stores. So if you went to a different part of the country, you saw different things. To you can go to any mall anywhere, and all the stores are the same. And so you got this kind of mallification of America. Well, what I really like about this strategy of Barnes & Noble is that with all this autonomy, you go into 2 different Barnes & Noble, you have a different experience. And I think that's fantastic. In fact, a similar story was Hard Rock Cafe, which has succeeded over time, versus the same thing that Arnold Schwarzenegger and a few actors, Bruce Willis and Planet Hollywood. Planet Hollywood went bankrupt, but Planet Hollywood, you went into any Planet Hollywood and they were all exactly the same. They were set up on a footprint. You go into a Hard Rock Cafe, sure, the food's the same, but they have stuff on the wall that reflects that city. They have music that they're playing that reflects that general area. And so just this Barnes and Noble trying to do kind of the same thing with books, I find pretty exciting, pretty cool. Because man, don't you love just getting lost in a good bookstore?
I do. And I also think they're a nice part of the community. When my son was younger, we would go to the Barnes and Noble near us, which is now closed, and they would have Thomas the Train sets. And I could just sit there and kind of hang out with my friends, and we could just watch our kids play for hours with these Thomas the Train sets. And then they would go wandering and look at the different children's books. And we'd always buy a few books, of course, and support the store. But it was great. It was a great hangout for the community that we really enjoyed.
No, just absolutely fantastic. And I love that discussion. And I think making things more local, if you run a business or work in a business or are small business, like dealing with your little community instead of this commoditization, I think is a fantastic idea for growing whatever it is you're trying to grow. Farnoosh and I on Thursday, we talked about the big hot week we had this week. We had Airbnb, we had DoorDash, and we record this on Thursday, and Airbnb is up to bat today. DoorDash had an amazing day yesterday. But these IPOs, Bobby, are so hot. And so Farnoosh and I dug into that, largely coming down on, yeah, it's pretty exciting, but you probably don't need to get involved with your money. You probably leave your wallet at home and watch the headlines.
Yeah. Although my favorite part of the episode, actually, so Farnoosh is so fun to listen to. She sort of went off on this tangent in the middle about her experience in Party City and impulsively investing. And it was hysterical, guys. I mean, she's just the best. And I loved hearing about how she basically did not evaluate the Party City stock. She was just like, I feel this is going to be successful because you have to go to Party City because that's the only place to get helium balloons. And I was like, okay, but that's not the best way to evaluate a stock, guys, just so you know. And by the way, Farnoosh, if you're listening, you can order, certainly if you could not before, Farnoosh is now in the suburbs, but you can order party balloons to be delivered to your home, just so you know.
I love
Speaking from experience, I'm like, they'll deliver, they will, like I've made phone calls and they deliver them in New York City, and I'm going to bet that they'll deliver them in New Jersey where she is now. But I loved her enthusiasm, and
yeah, I love how she owns it. I love how she owns it. She's like, this was a mistake, and hey, I love the stock, and I decided to throw some money at it.
Yeah, I mean, look, she was honest about it. And it was also, she had some really good advice about how you could find out more information about a company. So she also had a lot of specific knowledge to share with our listeners. So you also, if you listen to the episode, you'll also get the lowdown on, if you are going to do individual stocks, the things you should look at.
Yeah. On Friday, speaking about passionate, Farnoosh brought it on Friday. She had a piece she was really kind of hot about, which was an HR manager in USA Today wrote a piece saying now's not a good time to ask for a raise. And she said, you need to read the room. You need to know who you're talking to, but don't let an HR manager tell you that it's not a good time, because the HR manager is not protecting you. The HR manager is protecting the company.
Exactly. And it's funny because when I listened to this, I literally texted you in Slack. I don't know if that's actually the proper way, but I Slacked you and said, oh my gosh, Farnoosh is really passionate about this topic. Because but the truth is, I remember when she was on my other podcast, Financial Grown Up, and she told the story of how, she was underpaid and she basically had to really aggressively question HR and say, what exactly is the salary band for the job that I'm in, and use that as leverage and understanding what you really could be entitled to get paid, and if you need to actually be promoted because you are at the top of the range for your job and so on, which is true in a lot of big companies. So she's really speaking from experience, and it's something I think that she has experienced and really wanted to pass on that knowledge to people, that you need to be your own advocate, and the person in HR, while maybe on a personal level is your friend, when it comes to business, it is business.
What a great week that was last week. Tons of fantastic discussions. In just a second, Bobby and I are going to preview next week. But first, want to say a big thanks to everybody who used our link when they went to Tiller Money. In fact, you know what? Instead of talking specifically about Tiller Money, we've talked about it on so many shows. I'm going to tell you what I kind of previewed earlier, Bobby, which is what Peter told me is happening. So some of the biggest banks, Chase and Citi, are on the front end of this thing called open banking. And you know how sometimes, like if you have a game through the Apple, on your phone, or if you have, or through Google, instead of having to give the game manufacturer all of your personal information, you just click this button that says, "Hey Google," or "Hey Apple," or "Hey Facebook," or whoever, give this company access. The company doesn't give those developers all of your personal information. They just say that this person is here, and there's really a one-way street of information. So in the past, when you would use not just Tiller, but you'd use Mint, or you'd use any of these budgeting softwares or any of the broker softwares, whatever it is, you would have to give them all of your banking log information, which was just another spot where hackers could potentially get at it. Now, all that Chase and Citigroup do, you go into Tiller, you tell them that you have a bank account, you click a button, and Citi creates a one-way street where it will share your information, but it doesn't share any of the password stuff. And now, if you use Tiller and you have a Chase bank account or Citi bank account, the chance that's one less access point for a hacker to get into your stuff. And that's coming to all different things, but Tiller is on the front end of that with a company called Yodlee, which Yodlee and Plaid are two companies that work with banks to kind of help them do these interfaces. So anyway, if you want a company that's on the edge of making sure your data's safe and gives you a lot of flexibility, tillerhq.com/MWF to check it out. You'll get a free 30-day trial and you help the show. So thanks to everybody who's done that. And thanks to Peter Polson and company at Tiller for keeping our data safe. I thought that was really cool, Bobby.
That is really cool and so important. As someone that has been hacked, I really appreciate that.
It's fantastic. All right, let's dive into next week. On Monday, Bobby and I kicking off the week, we're going to be talking about, a lot of companies trying to make sure that they say a big thank you to people that probably went over and above this year. So while profits are way down, we're seeing, and one report that Bobby, you found, talks about how companies are trying to fairly compensate people and give them a little year-end bonus, which I found really cool.
Yeah, I think there is an appreciation of how hard it's been for so many workers, whether they're the essential workers that are out there working grocery stores and whatever, restaurants, things like that, that are helping us, and even especially all the public transportation, things like that. People definitely appreciate all the work that they've done. So I want to say a personal thank you. And I hope that the companies do come through with thank yous. And especially some companies have done fairly well this year, which we'll talk about as well.
This is a super light week, by the way, for economic data coming up. OPEC has their monthly report on Monday. So seems like we always see things in the news right after this, right?
Yeah.
Where's OPEC going with oil? We'll find that on Monday. On Tuesday, retail expert Amy Goodman. And oh my goodness, Amy's got to be the busiest person on earth right now, Bobby.
She is everywhere and doing the most amazing job. She's on Kelly and Ryan Live a lot, and all of the morning shows all over the internet. And you definitely want to watch her reels on Instagram, her Instagram reels. Amy E. Goodman. They're so good. I don't know. I've asked her, I'm like, how do you come up with these ideas? And she's like, my kids help me. And her kids are so cute. It's so great. So definitely follow her and us. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Money Friends Pod.
Sure. Well, Amy's going to be on, most probably talking retail on Tuesday. We've got data on imports and exports, the Red Book, which is general merchandise stores, places like Target, Walmart, about 9,000 different retailers. We're going to see kind of how they're faring right now, a month over month and year over year. And then Wednesday, Amy's back. We also have the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, Imports and Exports Price Index, National Association of Home Builders Housing Market Index, and a bunch of oil and gas data. When I say a bunch, I mean a lot, to put it very technically, a ton.
A ton.
Yes. Thursday, Adam Carroll joins me for more fun. Adam and I have had just such a great time this season talking. I have no idea what Adam and I are going to talk about. I think what I really want to do is to circle back on these IPOs again and have another discussion. Now that we'll have a week under our belt, how did DoorDash and Airbnb fared last week? And then also building permits, housing starts. This is the only day of the week when we have lots of companies that you know of, at least that I know of, that are declaring their quarterly earnings. Rite Aid, which of course has been in and out of lots of trouble. General Mills, which cereal in itself is a whole story, and breakfast is a whole story, and Steelcase, of course, the office furniture manufacturer. And Steelcase, of course, when you think about them, you think about the return to office buildings. And what's a company, sometimes looking at a company like Steelcase gives you a good idea about what the future might hold there. So that'll be interesting to me. And then on Friday, Adam Carroll's back. And you think you know everything that gets tracked, Bobby, like all the different tracking. And there's a reason, by the way, guys, that I do this and Bobby doesn't do this. Bobby did this stuff for Reuters for a number of years and was like, nope, you prep all this stuff.
I was like, I can't.
As I'm digging into this and I'm seeing what gets tracked and all these tracking numbers on Friday of next week. How about this one? The NASDAQ 100 and S&P 500 net speculative positions, which is, as I dug into this, a trader index of how much traders are being speculative about their investments versus a month ago and a year ago. So we can kind of see, based on how much traders are betting money on where things are headed, you might be able to infer something. I don't know that I'll be tracking that on a daily basis, Bobby, but I found that incredibly interesting as I dig into the stuff you did for a number of years.
Good for you. Yeah. Well, look, just a little behind the scenes. So when I left Reuters, I went to kind of make a little compilation reel of what I had done. And I looked back, and a full decade, my friends, a full decade, almost everything had me reporting. This was a time period when the Fed did nothing. And yet we reported on it. Like the world, like this is the world, everything depended on whether the Fed moved a quarter of a point, which could be true sometimes. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I mean, the amount of energy spent of my life spent reporting that the Fed did nothing, was expected to do nothing, and will do nothing. I mean, it just, or in the past did nothing, present did nothing, will do nothing, was exhausting. And so I literally had 10 years of myself in different outfits and different hairstyles repeating the same statistics. I mean, every first Friday of the month, it was the jobless report. I mean, can you tell? I never like to use the term PTSD because I don't have PTSD, and that's a real term, and that's something to take taken seriously. But if it were something that I could use, I would use that term. Yes. I just really can't go there right now. I'm still recovering from years of the same. I mean, every Thursday, jobless, every Thursday. It's a lot when you just get into that hamster wheel of the economic data, Joe. It's new to you. You enjoy it.
I do enjoy it, and I'm glad that I get to do it. But I'll tell you, every time you talk about different hairstyles, I get envious. I get it because I can have one. Actually, if this hair gets out of place, I have two. So there it is. Bobby, we also, at the end of our shows on Saturday, we take your questions. We got a great question this week.
Yeah, this question's from Annette. She wants to know what the thought process should be in deciding financial goals. Joe?
For me, when I was a financial planner, I thought two things. Number one was that every goal has a financial component. I mean, if you tell me that you want to spend more time in the great outdoors, I would have people go, but that's not a financial goal. That's saving me money. But it is a financial goal, because if you want to be outdoors more often and you have a job, you're going to need to find that time, right? So you need to find a way to create enough income in a different way that you can spend more time outside instead of at the 9 to 5. But the place I really took this question from my old work was, weighing your goals against each other. So if I take this question and I say, okay, your goals are intensely personal, but what I think is important when deciding which one is most important to chase, what always helped me with that was to timeline them. And what I mean by that is put yourself and anybody you're planning with on one end of a timeline and write out at what date do I want this to happen? At what date do I want this other thing to happen? And what date do I want this third thing to happen? And some things we'd always find out when people did that, Bobby. We would find out that your retirement goal is in the sophomore year of your kid going to college. And you never had thought about that before, and realizing that you might not be able to do both of those things at once. And then we'd have a great discussion about priorities, or we'd timeline the goals. We'd work back to today to see to what do we need to do today to get those goals. And we'd find out that there's not enough money for both of them. And then we'd have a great discussion about which one's most important to you. So for me, this idea of timelining your goals and putting them against each other, seeing what they cost, then helps you work through the idea of which one's really, to me, the most important one for me to chase.
And I like the fact that you're blending them with the life goals, because money is often, it really is a tool to do what you want in life. And that's why people always talk about financial freedom being a key part of it. For me, I really was very taken by a book that came out a decade ago by Susie Welch. And it talks about the 10-10-10 rule. So it's 10-10-10, 10 minutes, 10 months, 10 years, a life transforming idea. And basically what Susie Welch talks about is that you should think about the consequences of your decisions in each of these time segments. So if I make this decision, what will it mean in 10 minutes? What will it mean in 10 months? And what will it mean in 10 years? And that way you can really map out. I love this book. I remember reading it years ago. Now I may go back and reread it, because it really helps you understand how the decisions you make now will impact in the future. So you could apply that, just to be very basic, to if I set up an auto increase in my 401k, where I'm doing 6% this year, I'm going to have it increase every year by 1%. That's a decision I'm making now in these 10 minutes. What will that mean in 10 months? What will that mean in 10 years? And you could even do math on something like that. That's a very basic example, but you can apply it to almost anything, financial or not. So I would highly recommend that everybody read that book and circle back to us. Let us know what you think and how that applies to you. And of course, if you guys have ideas for how to set financial goals, let us know. DM us at Money Friends Pod.
It's funny you say that, because I have, I get this coaching from a group called Strategic Coach, and sitting right next to you on my desk, I keep my weekly planner, and on that planner, there is my long-term strategic project. What am I going to do this quarter? Where am I going to be at this year? Where am I going to be at 10 years on this goal? And so it's funny how much this, I think Tony Robbins said, when you hear one quote guru say something, it might be their thing, it might be their little whatever, but when you start seeing it over and over and over from different places, Susie Welch, Strategic Coach, everybody, it probably is something that'll help you be more successful.
Right. And Tyson in our audience is talking about, starting with the end in mind. And that is something that we hear a lot. So I think that's a fair point to bring up, and just to kind of work backwards. That may work for you. I mean, I think that we hear that a lot, again, because that's something that works for a lot of people, is the idea of see where you want to be at a certain point in your life and then figure out how to get there. And you know what, Tyson, sometimes cliches are cliches for a reason. That's all I'm going to say.
It's not a cliche.
I think it kind of is. I think that it's kind of like, find the goal and work backwards. I mean, his comments sort of a little bit, he says, I can't imagine wherever, it's, I think that it works for a lot of people, and I like it a lot, but it is something you hear a lot. So
yes,
it's a valid point, Tyson, but you hear it. Let's say, we won't call it a cliche. We'll say you hear it a lot, but you hear it a lot because it works for a lot of people.
Yeah. Tyson's laughing because he hears me say it a lot. I quote that line nonstop, and now he's making fun of us more. Ha ha ha. Peter, I want to end this conversation with Peter's, though. We got to go back to you talking about the Fed. And Peter says, one might say, Bobby, that you're fed up, which is fantastic. Peter. How do people help us make this show, Bobby? How do people help us make the show?
Okay. First and foremost, we need everyone to get on board with our YouTube channel. go to YouTube, look for Money with Friends, hit subscribe. That is the key thing. Hit subscribe and then hit the alerts so you can be part of our audience and you can make fun of us like Tyson is continuing to do in the comments. Also, make sure you are following us on Instagram at Money Friends Pod. That's also our handle on Twitter. By the way, you can also follow us on Twitter and watch the show on Twitter as well when we record it. And of course, rate, review, all those good things.
Thanks to everybody hanging out with us. Tyson, by the way, is in Alaska hanging out with us, and it is early morning here. So it's early morning in Alaska. Mike just joined in. We tried to wait for you, Mike, but we are done. We'll see Mike and everybody else next time here at Money with Friends. Bye-bye. Oh, that was funny. That was good.
Thanks,
good
guys.
stuff, guys.
I like that. I like that, Peter. Thank you. I am so fed up. It's totally true. I was trying to make this composite reel, and I was like, every single piece, I say the same thing. Oh my God. I was like, I guess it is time to leave because I've been reporting the same non-activity by the Fed. I mean, since I've left, they've done things, but at the time there was like nothing happening, but we would talk about nothing happening all the time.
Do you have time for me to get a cup of coffee or do we need to roll?
I have a 9:30, so you can be very quick.
Oh yeah, we're good. I'll be right back, guys.
All right. So you're just going to leave me to hang with everybody. All right. Let me say hi to each person. Oh, by the way, guys. So back earlier, Mike, you weren't here. I don't know if Tyson was here. I was asking people to give me suggestions because we are going to be driving down to Orlando, to the Orlando area, I should say. Let's see how many, a week from Saturday. So that's, I don't know how many days it is. It's 9 days from now. And long car trips. I know. Thank you. So well, first of all, do you think we should try to do the whole 16 hours straight or should we stop in a hotel? I'm a little nervous. Has anyone been staying in hotels lately? How are they? Any tips for that? And we're traveling with a dog. We bought her. Thank you. So I have we talked about this earlier. I bought the Dyson stuff over the holidays. So hopefully my hair is looking better. We are going to be stopping. Well, I don't know. So there's probably going to be rest stops. So do you guys have any tips for how to manage rest stops? What to expect? Are the rest stops crowded? I guess only the people on the East Coast would know. We're going to be going down. I think only 2 drivers, Rebecca. So it's myself, my husband, and then our 13-year-old and the dog. That's all that's driving down there. So 2 drivers. Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea, Annette. But then my husband has to also want to read. I don't know what book. What's a good book for all 3 of us, for the parents and a 13-year-old? That's kind of tricky. Oh, Sarah, you stayed in several hours. Several of these. They're way cleaner. That's good to know. So the hotels are actually cleaner. Okay. Well, if anyone has recommendations of hotels that are about halfway between New York City and Orlando, let me know. I guess we might just do like Hotel Tonight and find a hotel that way when we're sort of getting tired of driving. So yeah, the hotel. How do they have? Someone told me they have sealed doors now on the hotels. Oh, so yeah, we're thinking maybe North or South Carolina. So maybe you have some suggestions of something. I don't want to go too far off the highway. I think it's 95. Lord of the Rings is definitely not happening, Peter, because I don't want to listen to that. Okay, Mike, that's good to know about the hotel. You wore your mask, right? We're used to the mask thing, definitely, being in New York City. Although I'm looking forward to in Florida because we're going to have a house. Right now we're in a little apartment. We're going to have a house, so we'll be able to go outside. We're going to have a little pool and everything. They call it a dipping pool. It's not going to be a big pool, but I think that it'll be nice to be a house and be able to sit outside. January 17th, Texarkana. That one's for you, Joe. Perfect timing to get back. I'm getting hotel advice from everybody for my trip down to Orlando.
January 17th, Peter, go to right off the highway. If you want not just good barbecue, but some of the best barbecue in Texas. And it's funny the number of people that say this.
Fairfield Inn. That's that's like a chain. They're probably very clean because they have like set cleaning protocols.
It's called
Hunger Games. I don't know.
Can you hear me?
I don't know. I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. All right.
What was I going to say? Sarah. So Harry Potter, they know already. Hunger Games, I'm not sure if Harry knows. I have mixed feelings about that for a 13-year-old. That could be a little bit much, Hunger Games. I know it's a preteen book. I don't know.
It came
don't
up.
know.
It came up, Peter.
That's a good idea
as-
about listening and then watching the movie. I like that. Thanks, Sarah. That's good.
It came up, Peter, as a message from Restream. But anyway, Naaman's barbecue is fantastic.
That's so interesting. Someone from Restream maybe is watching us. Hi, Restream.
No, that was me.
Oh, how does that work?
When you
I didn't know
type
you
a
could do
message
that.
in here, it says it comes up as Restream. I have no idea why. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Sarah.
Well,
I love the advice we're getting.
we took wipes and we wipe everything down. I mean, back when we were doing our nomad thing, wiped everything down before we touched anything. And then the second thing is we found out that most of the hotels, they have low occupancy if you stay in smaller, not in near the big city, but kind of the areas between. And so they'll use one floor on one day and then a different floor on another day. So most of the time there's been 2 or 3 days since somebody's been in your room. And, studies show that any germ is probably long gone by then. So it's awesome.
Good.
All right. Ready to do this? Let's make a show.
Let's do this. All right.
This is the recording for next Monday, which is the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th on my fingers, the 14th.
On today's show, it may be a pandemic, but it is also bonus season. We'll fill you in on what is happening. It is Monday, December 14th. Let's talk money with our friends. Welcome to the Money with Friends podcast. I am certified financial planner, Bobbi Rebell, host of the Financial Grown Up podcast, coming to you from my very grown up kitchen in New York City.
And coming to you from Texarkana, Texas, in my mom's half-finished basement where we make the Stacky Benjamin show, I'm Joe Saul-Sehy.
Here on Money with Friends, we talk about the latest personal finance headlines. We bring in candid conversations with our collaborators and thought leaders, and then we end it with a takeaway so you guys can make it your own.
We got a very interesting conversation today, Bobbi, about raises, or excuse me, not about raises, about bonuses. And you think about what an awful year it's been. If I'm a business owner and I start thinking bonuses, and maybe there's people listening thinking bonuses, they're like, are you kidding me? Bonuses? But people are really doing it. So let's get into this, but let's see which one of our friends is going to help us kick off today's discussion.
So the story that we are going to use as a jumping off point here is from CNBC. It is by Jessica Dickler. And the headline is, "It is holiday bonus season. Here's who could get rewarded." And it talks about the fact that it has been a very challenging year. And a lot of employers are recognizing that, and they are going to really stretch their resources to make sure that they reward the employees that have been working so hard. And remember, a lot of stores, and the article points to Target and Walmart and others, have had decent years. They've been selling a lot of stuff to people that have been stuck at home. So their employees have essentially been the essential workers that have been on the front lines, many of them. And it's important that those people feel rewarded and that they are recognized for the service that they have been doing at a very difficult time.
What I love about what Jessica writes, though, here is not just for those stores that have made a lot of money, but even stores that haven't made a lot of money. The fact that this employee probably was expected to do some things this year they haven't done before, probably working under, even if they're just doing the same job, the ability to get to that job and do that job during this year, a lot of extenuating circumstances, companies finding different ways, maybe extended time off next year, maybe giving them some flexible time, maybe trying to compensate them even in non-monetary ways, Bobbi, I think is going to be really helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, I'm even personally hearing anecdotally that they are now kind of coming to terms with the fact that people that are working from home, there's a cost to that. Even though, yeah, they're saving on commuting, they are now being a little bit more generous, many companies, in terms of reimbursement for the proper home office equipment. Because it's one thing to say you're going to work, on your couch for a week or two, but this has been going on for what, 8 months or so, and it's not ending for the workers anytime soon, effectively. So a lot of that is recognizing that we need to make work. We like to call it working from home. Let's be honest. We're living at work these days.
Right,
we need to make living at work a little more comfortable. And so it may come in the form of those kinds of things. So instead of doing a partial reimbursement for some things, maybe they're going to, get you that, exercise equipment so you can work out a little bit between your Zoom meetings so that you can focus better and your muscles don't atrophy completely. No, but it's true. I mean, it's really, really weighing on a lot of people. A lot of people are at the end of the rope, and they kind of, especially, look, I'm in an urban environment. I'm here in New York City, and we don't have enough rooms for everybody to be working, from home and have it be quote professional. And a lot of people have roommates and so on, and they're working in the same room. This is stuff that the companies are understanding more and more, that it's cute for about a minute and then it's really not. And it's a real imposition, not just on their work day, but their whole lives. And so there is a feeling of, what can we do, even if we can't offer cash? So wellness resources, more flexible schedules, as you mentioned, better home office equipment, and really understanding that those costs that they, in some cases, may be saving in the office have been passed on to employees.
There are a bunch of employers still, though, that are saying, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can. And yet I've got some data here, Bobby, from Penn Foster, a correspondence school, talking about the cost of hiring new employees versus just training and keeping the ones you have. According to a UC Berkeley study in this piece, it says it costs $4,000 on average above the salary and wages to hire a new employee, figure that rises to $7,000 for replacing management level employees and professionals. And it also says that the cost of losing people can be as high as 50 to 60% of their annual salary, just getting the next person up to speed. They're just getting the next person where that person was. So holding on to your talent and showing people how much you appreciate them this year. When somebody tells me they don't think they can afford to do this data makes me think, can you afford not to do this?
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing, because the cost to replace somebody is very significant. And also, you don't have the resources that you did sort of in the before, because you're not going to be able to, in most cases, meet this person in person. You're not going to have that person have the relationships and the historical knowledge of the job the way you used to. It's much harder to just do everything virtually.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I completely agree. And I think we'll see how this unfolds. I mean, this story calls it bonus season now. I do think a lot of bonuses also are in January. And by the time it is January and the final decisions have to be made, I think we'll have a lot more clarity in terms of how this vaccine is working, how the rollout is working. And from that, a better idea of what the economic outlook is and the business outlook is for a lot of these companies.
Let's talk about the other side of this for a moment, which is, if you're lucky enough right now to not just have a job, right? Because there are some people listening to this going, hey, just having a job is a great thing. And it completely is. But if you not only have a job, but you actually get a bonus, let's talk about what to do with it. Because you and I both know, study after study shows, people will take their bonus, and this is sad, they'll waste it, Bobby. They'll just completely waste it. What do you do first if you get your bonus?
You make sure your emergency fund is where it needs to be, number one, in this time, more than anything. And that's normally, I would say, put half in the emergency fund, half in investing, almost no matter what. But I think in this time, really evaluate your emergency fund. Make sure you have actual cash.
And I totally agree. And if you do have that, I think the second step then is to pay down debt, right?
Oh, yes. Sorry about that. Yes.
No, I think that's
too.
I think that's behind yours. I think yours is number one. I think that's number two. I think if you are going to spend the money, spending it on, and somebody gave me this advice when I was young, spending it on things that can help you get ahead faster later. So if there's some courses you want to take, if there's a masterclass you want to sign up for, if there's some books that you want to read, spending it on those things that are going to help you either with your career, with your life. I think those are great uses of money.
I think those are great uses as well. With regard to books, though, don't forget that you can use your library. Many libraries have drop off and pick up that are like contactless. And also, So I've still been borrowing library books sometimes, although I do try to buy books a lot, especially I have a lot of author friends, support independent bookstores, but you can, if it's a budget situation, you can do that. There's also a lot of free courses available that you can access through your community. So don't ever forget about that.
Great
So.
tips. Our friends with us as we make this show live. If you want to join us, head to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/money with friends. Our friends, though, today having some fun with this topic. Annette says, goes back to when Farnoosh and I were talking last week, go buy some Party City stock. I have a Party City. If you'd like to sponsor the show, just hit us up with an email. Direct message. That's fine. Party City. And then Peter says he's just taking his to Atlantic City, double or nothing, which may or may not be a good course of action, Bobby. Probably not.
Probably not, but you know.
In
no
just
comment.
just a second, Bobby and I are going to have our takeaways from today's show, which may or may not involve Atlantic City. But first, want to say a big thanks to anybody who's gone to Tiller Money and checked it out using our link, tillerhq.com/MWF. Tiller helps you keep your financial life on course. You can easily track your money over time, always know what's safe to spend, and confidently plan for the future with spreadsheets automated by Tiller Money. Tiller's built on the unmatched flexibility of spreadsheets. It automates your Google Sheet or Microsoft Excel so you can keep a clear view of your financing with everything in one place. Tiller Money eliminates repetitive data entry, logging into multiple accounts. You can manage your money in a spreadsheet 10 times faster. Check it out at tillerhq.com/MWF for more. And if you don't have a budget, great time as we finish out the year, get comfortable with it in 2020, and then have the system ready to go January 1st of next year. What's our takeaway from today's piece on bonuses?
So I love what we discussed, that companies should make sure, first of all, out of the goodness of their hearts, which is never true because it's business, let's be honest about that, that they do reward their employees that have worked so hard. And if they can't afford it in cash, to find a way to do that. I would also, on the same level, on a different level, I should say, people on a personal level should think about how they can give bonuses to the people that have made their lives easier. I live in a urban area, so I have a lot of people that help us. We have to park our car in a garage, so make sure that you thank the people in the garage. Of course, cash is always king, but an additional thank you this year would be great if you have it in you to give them gift cards to something, or the staff of your building, if you have that, if you're fortunate to have that, as I do. But also, the person that is cutting your hair, the person that is helping you with your children, anyone in your life that is helpful to you. If you have somebody maybe that comes in and is cleaning your house, anyone in your life that is doing things for you that you pay, make sure you give them some kind of bonus to let them know that you appreciate that they are being there and helping you, helping your life be that much easier. And I don't think it should be an either or. I hope it will be an and for many people, to give them at least the cash that you normally give them, hopefully more, but then also maybe give them some kind of a thoughtful gift that touches on something about them, that's personal, that they'll enjoy, so that you appreciate them as a human this holiday season, and through this terrible coronavirus season, that you really see them and you thank them.
I was thinking as you were talking that even if you can't afford to give that cash gift, and what a year to do it, if you can afford to help the people around you get ahead, that help you all year long, even if you can't because of your circumstances, just a thank you. It's so, my coach always reminds me that a thank you goes a long way, and just telling people how much you appreciate them goes a long, long way.
Well, Jason Harris really taught us a lot. One of our collaborators from Mechanism, he writes these wonderful notes to his employees on their birthdays. I think a really heartfelt note can be very meaningful at this time as well.
Yeah. And my takeaway goes back to, I think, the point from this data that I looked up, Bobby, which is, if you think you can't afford to, I would push back and say you can't afford not to, because the cost of losing somebody far is much more expensive than just doing the right thing. So yes. You are here tomorrow with Amy Goodman. And if somebody wants to help us prep for that show, we're on Instagram a lot prepping for it. How do they find us, Bobby?
Absolutely. On Instagram, we are at Money Friends Pod. That is also our handle on Twitter. And please absolutely subscribe also to our YouTube channel so you can be part of the recording of our shows here. Just search for Money with Friends on YouTube. You can find out more about the show on our website, moneywithfriendspodcast.com.
Thanks to everybody hanging out with us today. We've got Peter, Annette, Rebecca, Kevin, Sarah, Lynn, Sarah. We got both Sarahs here, and Mike and a second Mike. We got all the Mikes and all the Sarahs and some other people thrown in. So thanks for hanging out with us today while I make the show. She's Bobby. I'm Joe. We'll see you back here tomorrow at Money with Friends. Bye-bye. 14.
Very nice.
All right, guys. Awesome. She's got to leave.
Awesome audience. Thanks, everyone.
So we will see you guys later. Thanks for hanging out. Bye-bye.
Bye.